Behind the Lines.
Alrighty, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Season 2 of Behind the Lines, where we bring the experts to you. I'm Francis O'Rourke with GameSense, and joining me tonight as host is Ty Tremblay.
Hey, guys.
And so this week we're going to be bringing you a discussion about fundraising and branding. As usual, we'll have a presentation by our experts, followed by about 30 minutes of Q&A from you guys out there in internet land.
Before we hand it off to our experts, we do want to mention that the views expressed by Behind the Lines hosts and our guests are those of the individual and not necessarily reflect the views of First or the First participants.
That's right. So, as I mentioned with regard to the questions, don't forget to submit questions to our guests. We want to hear what you have to say, what you want to learn about. So, if you have a question, tweet it with the hashtag FRCBTL, or you can email them to btl@frcgamesense.com. Also, here at Twitch, if you're watching on Twitch TV, we have a bot in the chat room. Just type exclamation mark and the letter U, then your question, and our bot will automatically feed that back to us.
All right, with that, let's start it off. We're going to introduce two phenomenal guests from Team 1902 Exploding Bacon. And today, starting off first, we'll go with Elise. Elise,
Right,
go ahead.
Well, thank you for inviting us. I am Elise Cronin-Hurley, the RC lead for Exploding Bacon, and I am a marketing, imagery, and chairman's mentor as well. I've been with the team for 4 years. And Exploding Bacon 1902 was established in 2006. We've won 4 regional imagery awards, countless peer imagery awards, and the 2013 World Championship Imagery Award.
Excellent. And Joyce?
My name is Joyce Walters. I am the club lead for Exploding Bacon. I've been on the team since 2010, but I've been in First since 2006, with my student being in FLL. I'm also the junior FLL co-partner for the East Central Florida region, and I'm on the FLL planning committee as the volunteer coordinator for that region as well.
All right, guys, thank you. For ado, we're going right into it. As we said, this presentation is on marketing and fundraising. All right, let's kick it away.
All right, so today we're going to cover knowing who you are. Go ahead. Today we're going to cover knowing who you are, marketing to the first audience, engaging in the conversation, and the benefits of good imagery, which of course are fundraising, or one of them is fundraising.
Know who you are. Having a mission statement will help your team to have an overall goal. Include your values and strengths, real and specific, sweet, short, and to the point. And if you notice on our mission statement, we also incorporate our 4-H. When you have a mission statement, forming a business plan is the next step in forming a foundation. This will give your team structure, a direction, show sustainability by having future goals, and is useful for an entrepreneurship award, your sponsors, and writing grants.
So if you're joining us as a rookie team, you may or may not have a name. Some of the things that you can tell are what is your name or your school mascot, maybe the area you're from, or maybe even a random name generator. Then you'll want to move on to picking out some colors, developing a logo, and then shirts. One of the lessons we learned early on is the importance of shirts in the FRC world. We thought we would be really clever at first and had a shirt for Thursday, a different shirt for Friday, and yet another shirt for Saturday. And what we discovered was nobody can find you the next day if you keep changing the color of your shirt. It's a really important element of an FRC team, a key identifying factor for your team. One know who you are, then you want to go with branding identity. So this is going to give you a strong foundation moving forward, providing your team with the tools that they need to be consistent with your defining your image. Check with the resources available to your team. You might have sponsors or parents that have software or talent that could be useful in helping you develop that image. Maintain control of your image, and that includes digital, print media, merchandise, everything that you do, and in the use of your tagline. Sometimes people change up their taglines a lot, and it can be confusing for your audience. Logo guidelines can be very helpful for the whole team, for the mentors and the students. If you have a listing somewhere of your Pantone colors, your RGB colors, and the fonts that you use, we have ours on a board in our build space because they get asked constantly whether it's for print or for video or anything like that. And if you know how they all convert, that can be really helpful for your team to not have to constantly figure it out or guess, which then leads to a lot of different versions of colors. So on our website, under resources, we have a page, Imaging and for First Teams. There's a link there with a converter tool. So if you know your Pantone color from like maybe a t-shirt company or some merchandise that you had done or something you had printed, you can take those Pantone colors and you can convert them to RGB and to hexadecimal for your web work as well. So you can have all those colors readily available and you can get a consistent look across the board. Also, First provides branding guidelines of the First logo. You should always use their logo properly. They have very specific guidelines, and it's a wonderful document to maybe base your guidelines off of on how to use your logo properly for your team. Sorry. But imagery is about more than your logos and colors. It's about everything you do. And the greatest resource is your team. Imagery is not about necessarily being outrageous. It's embracing who you are. So that might be an outrageous team with bright green mohawks, or it might be polos and khakis. Whatever it is, embrace it and all the challenges and opportunities that come with that. What is marketing? Marketing is anything that you create that tells your story. That when you're marketing to the First audience, you're going to be marketing to judges, marketing to other teams, marketing to the First community at large. Communicating with judges, you want to make sure you know your message, and that includes your judges packet. You want that to be consistent with your look, any supporting documents you might have, and how to talk to the judges. Make sure that they know the message of what you're trying to communicate. And remember, British professionalism is noticed on and off the field. Judges are everywhere. Knowing your message, communicating that with the judges. The judges packet, I'm sorry, I did move to that. Your judges packet, it could include some of these things. It doesn't have to include all of these things. We don't include all of these things. Include what makes most sense for the message of your team. That may include some of your outreach, some of your awards information, a handbook, maybe your marketing packet, or some of your graphics material. Whatever that fits in with the message that you're trying to communicate. Judge whispering is about preparing your students to talk about all aspects of your team. And the more confident they are about what they know, the more confident they're going to come across to the judges. So we incorporate a couple of different things. It depends on the year, but we use a PIT test, and that includes both our robot and business side of our team, so that all students are familiar with all aspects of everything we're doing. It could include practice sessions if they need a little help, just one-on-one. Games like Jeopardy, presenting to chairman, having your chairman's teams present to your team. That will help your team know what's being presented to the judges behind those closed doors, and help them understand what the message is that you're talking about that year. And make sure your team always know what awards you're pursuing, because sometimes it's a small group of students working on them, and everything gets really busy during build season, but it is really important when they're standing in the pit, they know which awards that you are trying to go after. Marketing to other teams, there are a lot of different options out there. That may include something as simple as robot cards, which have on there specifically the strengths that you're trying to communicate to other teams. Make sure that that gets communicated. Other things might be giveaways like pens, band-aids, aliens, or maybe even squeezy pigs, also peer awards, and using your strengths to help other teams. Like imagery and branding are a big part of our team. Programming is also a big part of our team, so we can use those strengths to help other teams either through workshops like this or with our programmers going to help other teams in the pits at competitions. There's other things like pins and those sorts of trading shirts, those sorts of fun things. Your pit, don't forget your branding in your pit. Make sure to use your logo and colors in your pit, because judges and other teams are looking for you, and the pits are a kind of crazy place to be. So it can be, make it easy for them to find you. Your robot can be another way to help present your image. Ours is bright and green every year, and that really helps us grab attention both at competitions, makes it easy for people to identify our robot, and out in the public when we're doing demos and such. It really pulls an audience when they see that bright colored robot come out there. And as I mentioned, shirts are really important. Having that consistent look over and over again it can really help with marketing your team and having people find you either in the stands or in your pit or wherever you are. People start to get used to what your team looks like, and so changing that up can be a tricky thing. In a year, and some teams even switch it up year to year, and that can be really tricky because people really get used to what you look like. Buttons and pins are ever so popular at events, and sometimes you see kids, you can't even see what their team shirt is because they're covered in pins. They're very popular for trading and a great way to get out your image. Then mascots are always fun. I know our Wilbur is very popular at every event.
Can I just to interject real quick? I was a mascot for a brief period of time as well, and I can tell you it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work too. So if you can pull it off, it's a lot of value add.
It's a lot of hugging and a lot of dancing.
Yeah, I didn't do any hugging though. I wasn't comfortable with that, but no.
Our Wilbur does a lot of hugging.
Yes, he does.
So. And he's happy to give hugs too. Spirit is a great way, a great tool of your imagery as well. If you have a cheer, a lot of teams will learn your cheer and scream it to you. We have one of our cheers is oink oink, and then we have to. There you go. Thanks, Joyce.
You're welcome.
We hear that all the time in public, even around town. We'll go into a restaurant and you'll be ordering food and you'll hear from somewhere in the depths of the restaurant, oink oink! and so it's a great way for team spirit and sharing that with the community. And giveaways are always fun. We have our squeezy pigs. Everybody loves our squeezy pigs. Embrace your image. Find something that really is fun for you and that you can share with others and share your image. You'll know your image is fully embraced when you see other people putting it on their robot or something like that, because we have squeezy pigs on many robots. It's always flattery for us to see it on a robot.
I'd like to say that multiple years, my team's been lucky enough to get their hands on one or two of them, and they've absolutely adored them.
They are tricky. Our students only get one a year or an event, so it is tricky to find them. We run out of them very quickly. So your image extends. beyond the boundaries of regionals and worlds and into the online community, and that can be on Chief Delphi, subreddits, and programs like Behind the Lines and Game Sense, also at off seasons and first outreach, like professional conferences and stuff they may invite you to. Remember that everything you say and everything you put out there is part of your image. So post something on one of your social media, it is all part of your image. So everything you say and do really comes back to you and represents your team.
Marketing is...
Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. Marketing is the ongoing process of engagement whereby strangers are nurtured into advocates. Marketing outside of FIRST. Here you see our team at Tronicon with one of our sponsors showcasing the... I can't remember what robot that is. Sorry, I don't remember his name. Oh, Boxer. That was Boxer.
Yeah.
Marketing outside of FIRST. Opportunity to be memorable by showcasing your team spirit, individual team goals, and your love for science. You can do that with your sponsors, potential students and mentors, and within your community outreach, such as our science centers and libraries that we attend to often, and they invite us back by being memorable. And also showcase it in your local media. Outreach and sponsors. When you are at one of the events, make sure your students and mentors know what FIRST stands for and what FIRST is all about. Also, have them remember and know your team and what sets you apart from others. Tell your story. Show the benefits of your team to your audience. For examples, like if you're going after potential students or mentors or even sponsors for that matter, you want to have individual benefits for each of those audiences. Practice your elevator speeches with one another. This will help your students gain more confidence. Fundraising best practices. FIRST actually has a fundraising toolkit. It is a great place to gather information. It has 8 different sections, including some of those about fundraising plans for your demographic area, preparing for presentations, and sponsor relationships. Understanding your restrictions that you have with school or 4-H or whatever team that you're on. We're specifically 4-H, and we have some strict guidelines that we have to follow. And also, many teams in our 4-H area that we have to nonprofit number with. Research the organizations you're writing grants for. This will help you gear towards some of their goals in their company. Document your submission materials for future grants. Some grants ask similar questions, so if you have them documented, it's easier to pull from. Have several mentors and students work in your Google Docs. This will help you with your sustainability by having multiple members be familiar with the grant process and future access. Some fundraising examples are listed below, but we have a brainstorming session with our students and parents. They have ideas and could work for potential sponsors or corporations with volunteer grants. Some examples that we have, one would be Firehouse. We reached out to them and they actually help us with kickoff for food for our kickoff, food during our build season, and also food while we're at the local events. We also have a fun summer camps that we do. Not only is it a great fundraiser, but also an opportunity to showcase STEM and have our team building bonding experiences. Also, hosting FLL and FTC tournaments and selling concessions will not only help raise money for your team, but it also showcase your love for science and also possibly gain potential students. Marketing to potential sponsors. Continue your branding. Be unique. It has helped us gain sponsors. Also, make a marketing packet. Having a marketing packet available to your team members and parents will help them want to help find you sponsors as well. Include your organization structure, such as your board members, student officers, and a budget. It's helpful for gaining sponsorship. Do presentations and demos, and also show how sponsoring you benefits them by encouraging STEM in their community. We have different sponsor levels. It actually incorporates our unique image in our marketing packets. And if you can notice, we've got some pretty cool ones. We got Boss Hog, Power Pig, Big Bacon, Squealer, and Piglet. Doing that also shows your sponsors how we, it shows your sponsors the way you support them by promoting them in special ways. Sponsor retention. This is a really important one that we do and love to do every year in different ways. We love to show the impact that it has had on our students. We invite them to a sponsor dinner and have our students sit down with them and talk to them about their experiences. We also give them a few awards when they're there. Newsletters and emails are sent out periodically through the season to keep them in touch with our students and let them know what we're doing and how our team has been. We also send them invitations to all our events, and we support them in their outreach opportunities.
So marketing is the message and/or actions that cause messages and/or actions. And how does that apply? Well, it's about engaging your community. And social media is the global voice of your team, and it's a fun way to engage new audiences. You should develop a social media strategy, create banners and badges that reflect your team image, colors, logos, and make sure you put in your pretty robots and smiling faces too. People really are engaged by those. Identify your audiences and then choose the channels that are going to better work for you. You don't need to do everything that's out there. There are a lot of different social media platforms, but they're not all going to work best for your team. You want to list some goals and objectives, and that way, if something's not working for you, you'll know, and then you can put more effort into the ones that are working for you. Identify the key people responsible for managing those sites and creating the content so people know who is responsible. And review the first digital media submission rubric. That will help guide you along in what you may want to accomplish throughout the year, and it'll help you be ready to apply for that in the spring. Engage your audience with good content. Research the best ways to succeed in the channels and decide what you want to tackle. Recommendations available in numerous articles on all the different social media platforms with different approaches. So make sure that you're following the current recommendations on the timings and the days to post to get your best reach. But for each one, make sure you have good content, spelling and grammar, beautiful videos and pictures, a casual tone, and most importantly, be consistent with your image and branding. To help your team succeed, educate them on your social media goals. Make sure that they're sharing and retweeting your messages, because that will help extend your reach and help you to increase your impact on all your communities. If you can use Facebook, it can be helpful to have public and private channels. That way you're not overwhelming the public with some things that might be considered more internal or a lot of pictures. We post a lot of pictures on our internal social media, but only choose to post a few on our external, on our fan page, so we don't overwhelm them. Also with events and things, that can help you really focus what is most important to you at that particular time. Use video. They say pictures are worth 1,000 words. Well, moving at 24 frames per second, a video is a significant message. Think through what video you'd like to have before events, so you can make a list. We make a list of video that shots that we want during competitions and those sorts of things, so that the people who have cameras can make sure that they can target those things, and it gives them something to really focus on when they're at the events.
And just to sort of add on this, I do social media for Game Sense and Behind the Lines, and videos is really where a lot of these social media platforms are moving toward. Like Facebook has now like video profile pictures, all the iPhone features. Twitter's moving in that direction too. So really big deal for this stuff.
Yeah, and they're shared 12 times more than standard text and photos. So it's much better as far as, it has a much better reach than just posting a photo or just text. So you're not always going to be, of course, online. Sometimes you're going to be standing there in front of somebody and you want to be able to hand them stuff. That's when a brochure or marketing packet can really come in handy, depending on what the purpose is. Make sure these things continue your message, your team's message with the team's colors and those sorts of things. And business cards are a really inexpensive way to send a reminder with a new friend, to check out your website, email you, and follow you on social media channels, and maybe develop a new relationship with a mentor, sponsor, or a new student. So everywhere, be consistent with your branding. So the keys to success is consistent use of your brand, of your logos, your colors, all your graphic elements, and your team's message. And all of these will benefit you with making you more memorable, thereby leaving a better impression and helping you not only with your press and recruiting new members for your team and helping you sustain on a regular basis, but also with your fundraising efforts. And remember that most importantly is gracious professionalism is the greatest asset for your team's image. So. Aww. And that is our presentation.
Wow. So, ladies, thank you very much for giving that to us. That was very well done. A lot of information there. So before we start the Q&A portion, just want to remind everybody out there, we have a few methods you can get a question to us. Again, you could tweet it with the hashtag FRCBTL, like FRC behind the lines shortened. Or you could email it to us or you could use the Twitch chat bot we have for you. If you're watching on Twitch TV, just type ! the letter Q, and then your question, and that question will get automatically routed to us, and we'll put it in the queue for answering. Alrighty, so looks like we're going to get ready for our first question here. I'm going to show it up on the screen. All right, so this question is, where can I draw inspiration for my team's brand? Why is your team called Exploding Bacon? You know, I see that this time. It's very, Exploding Bacon is kind of a weird name. My team has a weird name too, but we have a story behind it. How did you guys come up with your name?
All right, well, in brainstorming sessions, the team originally decided to go ahead and try a few attempts at the random name generator, and this was one of them. We had another one come up that actually got voted. Exploding Bacon was not the highest one voted on, but one of the mentors' moms went home and drew out the logo, which is our very popular Pig on the Rocket, very well-known Pig on the Rocket. She came back with that, and they just couldn't resist. Exploding Bacon was the name from there on.
That's fantastic. So we get asked too. I'm on Team 319, Bob, and they always ask us, why is your team named Bob? And it's simply because after 6 or 7 years of building robots, they were always sitting around saying, okay, we've got to put this mechanism on here, or we've got to fix his driving. And they realized, wait a minute, we've been calling this robot a he for 6 years now. He should have at least a name. So we chose Bob, and ever since then, for almost 20 years now, we've had Bobs. Well, for 14 years now, we've had Bobs, and then just became.
That must be very confusing from year to year.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, we call him 2K15 Bob, 2K14 Bob, this year's Bob, and then this year was the first year we built a practice bot, so we had Bob and Rob.
That's pretty good.
Ours generally have pig-related names. This year's was Pork Lift. 2013 was Wahamo. Of course, the H capitalized for the ham. Lots of creativity with names. Lots of fun. Good.
Francis, how does your team name come about?
Yeah, that's a good one. So my team name is Team 190, Gompy in the Herd. Gompy is basically the name of the mascot for WPI and hence our affiliated high school. herd is, it sounds like it should be like, oh, a herd, like a bunch of goats. But our herd is actually initialized. It's HERD. And we actually don't know where it came from. It was done, we've been around for 23 years, 25 years. And somebody initialized it at some point in the past, and nobody knows. So our best guess is it stands for highly engineered, rarely developed, but that's our best guess.
It's a good thing to document the history of your team too, so people will know going forth what the story is.
Yeah, I mean, we do that now, but unfortunately, in like 94, we weren't really down with that. So
Yeah.
all right, Ty, do you want to hit up another question?
Yes. Our next question is, how much time should a team put into branding and marketing?
Ooh.
I think that really does depend on the team. Some teams are going to be more focused on it. Some are going to have more materials to do that sort of thing. So I don't think you have to spend a lot of time on it. I think really it's working smart and being consistent. And if your team knows what fonts are the ones that you use regularly and they know what colors you're using, they're not having to guess at everything. And that's where I find a lot of people spending too much time doing something is trying to recreate something. But if you have all those materials and you have a consistent look, it should be a lot easier and it shouldn't take you as much time to be able to draw things in and work with what you have. As far as actual time, I'm really not sure. It would really depend on the team and how much material they were developing.
Yeah, I think one of the important things to realize is that marketing branding is it's like a benefit added. You know, it's makes everything better, but it isn't completely necessary. So you shouldn't kill yourselves trying to come up with this killer, color theme and design if it's not happening. I mean, the best themes out there are just the ones that just kind of happened out of a random name generator, and everybody jumped on the train and off they go.
And some are not very complicated. Look at Holy Cows. There's a black and white. It's not a complicated color scheme. So it's not necessarily something, like I said, that's outrageous. And some of those teams are the polo wearing with khaki pants, and that's their team. That's may not be very outrageous, but it is who they are. It really is embracing who you are.
Right.
But I do disagree. It is important.
No, I'm not saying it's not important.
Ooh, sick burn.
I quit.
No, but I think with time, I kind of agree with both of you, right? There's a lot of teams are pulled in a lot of different directions a lot of times with marketing and branding and chairmans and this whole robot thing too, and it ends up kind of stretching a team thin, especially if they're not at a lot of resources. So what I have found is it's better to build in steps. Maybe this year you just work on getting your website up, and then maybe next year you work on, or maybe you work on the sponsor levels and how to engage better with your sponsors, things that are critical, and then move on to the nice to haves and build on that. And one of the good things I found is if you can get kids interested in it, they'll want to do it. Yeah. And it can be hard. It's not everybody who comes to a robot team wants to build websites. But if you can get the kids into it, then they'll pick it up and take it away. So you're just kind of left watching behind.
And they'll always surprise you.
Oh yeah, they do. Generally in a good way.
Yes.
Alrighty, we're gonna go to our third question for the night here. This one's a cool one. What do you guys think makes a good button design? Buttons are one of those things that every first team has. What do you think makes a good one?
Not cutting out your own. Oh wait, we do.
I would say something simple. Oftentimes people try to put a lot into a design and it just ends up looking cluttery. It's hard to read and people won't look at it because it's just too much to look at. So something simple that really just simple message, clear cut.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't had the pleasure of making any buttons since I was in high school. But I do remember when I was in high school, team was Team 40, and we were red and white checkers. And so just a big circle with red and white on it, and a big 40 on it, and it was easy to tell from a distance whose button it was. Yep. If you've seen I think to me the best buttons are if you ever see the folks with the really big coats with all the buttons on it that rattle like chainmail. if you could pick your button out at 10 yards, I think you have a good button design.
Now, I also have to say that highly coveted buttons at World Championships that we found, my son was trying to go after them, were some that were Princess Bride themed, and I can't remember which team did them, but I know several members of our team were trying to go. So clever is really, really engaging as well, and may make it very highly coveted. I think
That's true.
they ran out well before he wanted to get one. So.
Actually, one of the teams that used to do around here in Massachusetts, they were the Duct Tape Bandits, and their number was 467. So they had 467 unique uses for duct tape that they would put one on each button.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You couldn't collect them all because there were only like 400 buttons at an event, but you could still try to get every button was unique and cool.
That's very clever. That's great.
What were you saying, Ty?
So kind of aside from buttons, but for giveaways, one thing our team did is in 2004, we went down to Texas. And in Texas, we got asked a few questions like, New Hampshire, is that a town in New England?
For those of you who may not be from New England, it is not. It is its own state.
We're up here too, guys. But so we really embraced the whole Granite State thing, and we found a guy that would water jet out us a bunch of little slabs of granite, and then we screen printed 319 onto them and went around and gave out a little bunch of granite to all the Tex teams.
Wow.
Now getting granite through security was interesting, especially like 500 pounds of it, but we did it.
That's clever. Yep, clever or simple.
Mm-hmm. All right, our next question coming up is, my team is in an area without many big companies. How do you do fundraising on a small scale?
I would suggest probably doing a car wash, having them sit out in front of like a grocery store, because some grocery stores down here, like we have a Publix and stuff like that, you can actually sit out there like the Boy Scouts do, selling popcorn and stuff, but you can get out there and showcase your robot and ask for small donations. Another thing that our team is doing this year with our 4-H office is selling poinsettias. It doesn't bring in much, but every little bit helps.
Okay, excellent.
There are also a lot of small companies out there. One of the things that I think most gets overlooked the most is the largest number of, there's a large number of millionaires who are plumbers and electricians, and all of these are social businesses, and they're in every town. So locating the businesses, you may think maybe kind of small, but they are really interested in trade, in trade. People who are interested in trade and those sorts of things that may be on your team. So they may have an interest in sponsoring your team.
Yeah, and sponsors don't always have to come in the form of money either. So you don't need the big company to hand you this huge check. So you could get sponsors in terms of meals for your team meetings, or you could get materials too. Joyce, do you have anything to add on that?
Oh, no, the meals. We have Firehouse Subs and some other local companies who actually donate food for us during build season or like our events. And it's just going in there and asking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can get it for 6 weeks.
That's one of the things that we always have our kids do is they go out and get food from a bunch of local companies. And it's always kind of nice when you visit them on your own, to see your ugly mug in a picture on the wall hanging proudly next to all the baseball teams. And it helps to also spread the message around for you in those kind of ways, There
are also the restaurants that do fundraising spirit nights, and that can be a good way. And different ones offer different options. So some we have found were really successful for us, and others, not quite so much. So do some research, but that's another way to get some fundraising in a small town.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And the word out.
Yeah, and the word out. And bring your robot.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things. When you have things like spaghetti suppers or pancake breakfasts, this is going to sound weird. It's going to sound like a first thing. It's not about the pancakes, right?
Right.
You're not providing pancakes to people. It's all about marketing and spreading the word. So things like that. I know when I did one in high school, it was a dismal failure. But really, the ones that I found successful are more about telling people that it's happening and getting them involved than it is worrying about how to feed 100 people.
Yes. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think we've hit that one on the head. We're going to go to our next question. This one's a doozy here. Is there any place or any advice you have for a cost-benefit analysis when it comes to fundraising? How should teams evaluate return on investment when deciding how to raise funds? And I'm thinking the question asks about time and resources that the team has to expend. What do you guys think? What's your experience been?
Anything you have to purchase up front is usually a challenge because you have to make sure that you get that investment back. And so it's a much bigger risk. Anything you can do in advance, sales in advance. Donuts are a popular one for that. Like I said, that we do points. So those kinds of things we don't purchase in advance. Car wash, you have to evaluate the supplies that you're going to need and that sort of thing. But if you can stand out in front of a grocery store with your robot, there's no outlay. Also, keeping a list, keeping record of your fundraisers so that you know which ones were successes and which ones weren't, so you can make sure that you don't make repeat mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to work for some things are going to work for you and some things aren't. But keeping record of that with the actual numbers, because sometimes you'll say, "Oh, we made summer camps were a great fundraiser for us. We did have to outlay some money first, but we knew how many kids were registered, so we knew how much we were going to make in advance. So that was a really great fundraiser." But if you're not paying attention to those things, you may not be paying attention to how much you had to put out to get the money.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add in terms of fundraising is fundraising is also when you're going out and getting your sponsors too, right? Doing your presentations. That's all part of raising funds. And one thing that 319 has noticed in the past few years is going to companies and making presentations is hands down the fastest way to make the most money that we've ever experienced. If we've got that opportunity to go to a company and make the presentation, it takes us half an hour, and then they write us a check, then the effort that you have to put the effort into maintaining the relationship and showing that proving to them that their money went to a good cause and really did help us. But you don't have to like stand somewhere for like 8 hours to raise the money, where it's completely viable to do. But it's pretty amazing how willing companies are to just give money to a good cause if they can.
Yes, if you can reach some companies. One of the things you might also try is something I was looking at is just looking at my LinkedIn list. And I was trying to contact a company here that was near our build space and looking through there and seeing, okay, who do I know who know people at that company? Mm-hmm. So getting your mentors and your parents to go through and say, okay, these are the companies we'd like to go after. Do you know anybody there? Or do you know somebody who knows somebody there who might be willing to make that introduction? So it could be a great resource for you if you're not sure who know people.
It's a very good point. It's very good.
But make sure you showcase your students.
Yes. The students should always do the presentations.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the sponsors really get their heartstrings pulled. So utilize them.
All right. On to our next question. What are some important software items that teams should get? What about the free ones out there?
Well, we don't use a lot of free ones, but you don't have to invest in really expensive software in order to get results. You can do things as simple as using OpenOffice to create things. You don't have to go with Photoshop and Illustrator. If you have the opportunity to get those, then they're great tools. And they do have a subscription available for that. And I do believe there's an education discount for that. That's something to look into. I know without the education discount, it's about $50 per month, and you have access to one license for all of the different Adobe products. So you can get the video software, you can get Photoshop, you can get Illustrator, you can get every web development applications, all sorts of different products that your students can play with for actually a pretty low investment. But then, even if you're just using something like Microsoft Office or something like that, you can, or even Open Office, you can, as long as you're consistent and you have a consistent look and you're using your colors and you're using your fonts consistent, you can still do a lot with those things. You don't have to invest in things. Also, if you do want to learn how to use software, but you don't have somebody on your team that can teach your kids how to use it, check with your local library. A lot of the libraries are developing technology centers that have entire rooms full of banks of computers, and they have teachers there who will go through and teach you how to use the software. And a lot of those are the Adobe products.
Huh. I just want to sort of touch on what you're saying about using Office.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give away a little game sense behind the line secret here. A lot of our graphics we actually mock up, and sometimes we even just use the final versions from like PowerPoint. You'd be surprised how powerful PowerPoint is at drawing things. And like you said, the Adobe products are really great, and I know that they do have educational discounts that you can get if you're affiliated with a school or another organization, a nonprofit organization. You can get those relatively easily, and I think it's about half what it normally costs retail. So good deal in that regard.
That's about right. Yeah.
And very powerful software as well.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to another question. Here we go. Let's do here's an easy one. What's a good sponsor gift? What do you like to give to your sponsors at the end of the year? I'm gonna guess it's a pig.
Nope, it's unlimited supply of bacon.
Oh, there you go.
No. No, you would think, but with the help of Elise, we actually make beautiful thank you photos for frames. They love to hang them in their offices.
And the kids sign all around them. A good team photo from one of your events and a couple action shots, and you can do a really nice, simple thing that you can have printed out at Office Depot or something like that and put in a frame that has student signatures around it. And we actually did not manage to get one to one of our sponsors one year because they were not able to make it to our sponsor dinner. And sure enough, they're like, okay, where's our frame? We want it for our wall. So they really do like those. We've also made mugs with our with a team photo on it and our logo. I've seen one that said thank you for sponsoring us on them as well. So I've seen other teams use mugs. We've done. We've given them shirts. We've given them. We try to mix things up a bit because we have a lot of great sponsor retention. So we try not to give them the same thing every year. This year we did car magnets, so we made sure all our sponsors had our car magnet. So it varies greatly.
Yeah, 319 goes to their primary sponsor and does a presentation to the whole company, talking about this is the robot your company let us build, and this is how we did, and thank you, and here's all the trophies we won. And we hand them like 15,000 trophies. They don't know what to do.
We also do give our trophy to sponsors each year, depending, or try to mix it up and give them. I'm sure they have great trophy cabinets somewhere.
Well, that's something else to sort of touch on is that I find it's also good to sort of to give a gift makes sense for your gift to. So if you're giving a gift to like one person who owns like an electrician, for example, they're going to want something personal that they can have, like you said, like a coffee mug. But if you're giving it to a larger company, that maybe there's a contact person, but maybe it goes on a broad audience, things like trophies and hang up pictures and things like that make a lot more sense because everybody gets to share in the celebration, basically.
Yes.
Excellent. Our next question. My team has a very strong theme, but we don't mark it. What's one easy thing we can do to improve?
Ooh, one easy thing. Strong image. One easy.
We're looking for the easy road out, basically, is what we're saying. I have an idea, actually. Yeah, it is a tough one, but I would say, and you'd be surprised how many teams don't have a website or an up-to-date website.
Okay.
That's what I would say, because if you went to my team's website, you would see we updated it back in 2011. It's great. And it's one of the things that's really easy to slip by because
Yes.
if I'm on my team, I don't go to my website.
Yeah.
You know, I have no reason to. So it's really easy. That's like your biggest front-facing thing that most people get to see is your
Yeah.
website. So
Yes, especially when you have you're trying to get sponsors and such because they're going to want to look and see what your team's about, and your latest robots and those sorts of things.
Yeah, we even if you don't have a website, one of the most important things to do, I think, is to have a consistent theme across your Facebook and your Twitter accounts, across your social media.
Yes, yeah, the banners, and you can do that pretty easily with just a picture, and then put your logo as the profile, a little profile square, and that can be a great look. And people love the smiling faces. If you have good pictures from a competition, they love the action shots.
Yeah, all you need is one parent with a DSLR, and you are set.
Oh yeah.
Or several. You get different angles all the time. But a lot of the things that you're talking about, some of the schools can't have their own website, or they can't have Facebook and stuff like that. A good thing probably for them to do is make sure that they touch base with their local newspapers, and also make sure they have a flyer, so every time that they go out to a demo, they have something to showcase.
Yeah, hit it on the head right there.
Or even if you can't have social media and you do want to connect with maybe your sponsors more regularly without doing a newsletter or something, you could even do something as simple as a postcard, like a half postcard that you get printed up at maybe Office Depot or something like that, and just put a little note on there as far as what you're doing with your team at that time. Could be a real simple, easy way to keep up with them if you if you get a really good picture on the front that you want to share with them and stay in touch with them.
Yeah,
But I would say with regards to marketing, I guess one of the things that you could really do if you have a great team image, one of the things you really want to keep focus on is keeping a good document well your good photos, because those often are used in your social media, in your print, in your videos, all sorts of different things. So if you can have a good way to store your photos and keep them long term, that's a really good, easy tool to grab to use in different situations.
All right. Now, here's the hardest question of the entire night. It's our last one. What is 1902's favorite fundraiser?
As a fundraiser, I'm going to probably say our summer camps.
I would
Wouldn't you
say,
agree?
yeah. I would say our summer camps. Yeah. Yeah. It's, the summer camps are really great because not only is it a good fundraiser, but the kids really do spend a lot of time together. They spend a lot of time together planning it, and just being there. And it's a great team building, bonding kind of experience. So it serves so many different purposes for us. And it's a great fundraiser. And the
Cool.
kids do it.
And they also learn how hard it is to be a mentor, because they can't touch the robot that the summer camp kids are working on. So it's a great way for them to actually see what we're talking about sometimes. They're like, oh, I did that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, they learn just how hard it is to sit on their hands.
For those of us that don't know, can you explain a little bit about what your summer camps do?
We have week-long summer camps that are half day. They're like 9 to 1 or so. They're about 4 hours long. And in our summer camps, we teach, we have different science themed days. So we'll have different experiments based on that particular theme. And then we also do the Lego Mindstorms robots, and we do kind of a mini tournament kind of week where one day they learn programming, another day they learn strategy. They get a certain amount of time to work on building their robots, and then at the end of it, we have a little tournament that Joyce always runs, and they get different challenges that they get to run, and then we have winners of the teams and that sort of thing. So they have a lot of fun with that, with the competition, and we've been able to do a lot with that because we've been doing it for several years. We created a resource book for ourselves of all of these experiments that we've gained over the years, because we don't like to repeat a lot of them. We get a lot of repeat kids, and we don't want them getting bored with, oh, we did that last year. So we do a lot. We do new ones every year, and the book just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And because of that, we ended up with this whole resource book of summer camp activities. And we were able to make copies of it for all the teams at World Championships this year, thanks to our 4-H office. And that was really great for us to be able to share with the FIRST community too. So we have that on our website as well. If you want to have your own summer camp, you can just download the PDF, and you have a lot of already proven fun science experiments for about 3rd to 5th graders. That's really where we target. And we generally make around, I want to say around 1,000 to 1,500 per summer camp, somewhere right around there, depending on
Nice.
materials and things like that, and how many kids you get in a summer camp. I think the general charge, I want to say, is around 125, 150, but you check with your local summer camp, see what other people are charging for them.
Cool. That's really great to hear. I know that it's a lot better than my favorite fundraiser when I was in high school, which was going to the dump. So
going to the dump was your favorite fundraiser?
Well, it was better. Going to the dump is better than being a human cone at the NHIS, New Hampshire NASCAR race. It was.
What Francis isn't telling you, though, is all of the mentors really made Francis dig through the landfill to find the aluminum cans that the recycling had missed.
Yeah, okay.
That does not sound like a good use of time.
Basically,
but...
what we would do is we'd help people with their garbage and ask for tips, basically.
Okay.
It was effective, but anyway. So with that lovely note about trash, I want to thank you both for joining us this evening. You guys did a fantastic job. And thank you so much, Joyce and Elise, for joining us on Behind the Lines this week.
Thanks
hey, no problem. Yeah. Just to let everybody know, we have a whole bunch. We've got 6 episodes planned. Our next episode is coming out on October 21st, 9 o'clock. The subject matter is going to be a real important one for all you high school students and parents out there. This is scholarships and going to college with FIRST. So this is really something you want to make sure you pay attention to, because it'll definitely affect you going forward.
Yeah, there's millions of dollars of scholarships offered every year for FIRST, and some of it goes unclaimed even.
Yeah, literally millions of dollars don't get used because people just don't know about it. So,
all right, thanks, Joyce and Elise. Just to let you guys know, all of the materials you saw here, including the presentation and some useful links, will be put up on the Behind the Lines website on the FRC page. That's usfirst.org/robotics-programs/FRC/Behind the Lines. Behind the Lines with hyphenated. All right,
easy to remember.
Oh yeah, just keep playing that on YouTube like 7 or 8 times. You'll eventually type it out.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and everyone out there watching us either live or on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and we hope you have a lovely day. Thanks, guys. Bye bye now.
Thank you. Bye.